Hey guys, welcome back. BDC Car here. We're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice. This is for the week of January 20th, 2022. And we've got sort of an important week. We've been leading up to this for a while.
Right, big drum roll.
Yeah, for the character challenge. Yeah. And so the current challenge is, very unfortunately, probably the worst thing that it could have been, which is Luchador Bane.
And he's not a bad character. But we'll maybe explain, maybe we should get, before we even get into talking about Luchador Bane in the specific, we should talk about why this is such an important week. Mm-hmm. So this week was the 87th week. There was a 43-week cycle. The first time that we had an extended cycle of challenge characters where it just repeated properly.
Yeah.
So 43 weeks starting May 2020. We had a second 43 weeks that repeated right after that. And they were sort of converging because, it had been 41, 42, and getting closer and closer to when...
we didn't know what was going to be next.
Right. So now, 87th week, there was the opportunity to have a new character. And instead of a new character, we got the first week in that 43-week cycle.
Yeah. Because we hoped that what had happened is they made a cycle where it had everybody. And then something happened and it got interrupted somehow. And it started again. Right. And so we were hoping that once we got through that the next week would be, like this week, would be somebody that we hadn't seen before. But we're back on that loop. And so it looks like for the foreseeable future, until an update or something changes, we know exactly, what week each challenge is going to be. But we're missing a bunch of challenge characters. There's a bunch of people who are, as of now, seemingly impossible to get from the challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
And 23 characters missing. Mm-hmm. 23. That's a lot. Out of 66, 23 is a lot. And maybe we'll talk about it in our Q&A, right?
Yeah.
For sure. But I think maybe it's worth mentioning this week because it's just happening. We're finding out now. Out of those 23 characters, I think there's a handful that their absence is pretty significant in terms of limiting the kind of teams that you get to choose to play. And I think there's maybe just over a handful. And I'll talk about the ones that I think are the most important. I think Injustice 2 Aquaman and Injustice 2 Superman both have really great passives. They're both really great characters on their own and filling a particular role on a team. Batgirl Prime is ridiculously useful on so many different teams in so many different ways. Same with Hawkgirl Prime, right? Where she takes advantage of the tag in, tag out. I mean, you can't really replace her if you want to set up a team using her. Wonder Woman 600 is great. And it's a smaller number of those teams because it's basically woman teams.
Yeah.
Where she gives the boost, but it's what a boost.
Mm-hmm. And it makes it worth building woman teams just for her ability.
Yeah. And I think out of all the other ones that have even more sort of limited range, I think Arkham Origins Deathstroke is probably really important because on an Arkham team, he can be really interesting. Yeah. He's a lot of fun to play. He was the original OG guy that everybody wanted that was messing people up in multiplayer. Yeah. That's ridiculous, but
and there's some other people who can do like good damage and stuff too, right?
And we'll talk about that
guys like Batman, a bunch of people. Yeah,
we I think this is
another time
real good fodder for next week's Q&A. Mm-hmm.
So the challenge itself is Luchador Bane, 1 week repeat. That the required characters are Wonder Woman, who you can get at silver, Nightwing, who you can get at bronze, and Flash you can get as low as bronze. His passive is Feel the Pain, which is upon tagging, Bane has a chance to stun his opponent and receives a 25% boost to all damage for 4 seconds. He's got 1,100 attack and 800 health.
Yeah. Last available March 25th, 2021. He's got relatively low stats for gold. 1,900 combined is not very much at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's even lower than Reverse Flash. Who's... Yeah, I mean, it just, it's not great.
Yeah.
But it's, the way he's loaded, like, his damage is still higher than his health. So he's really the original Glass Cannon. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, is he so much now? Maybe not so much, but back in the day, he was the absolute worst. You did not want to face him because the chance for stun was well over 50%, and with League of Assassins Knives for a special 1 boost and splash damage, plus Cloak of Destiny, which by itself has a chance to stun on tag in, boosting his damage if he stuns, and if he crits, and he's got his own boosted damage on stun, then if you've got 1 bar of power when he tags in, easily do that with Razagul Scimitar or Tantu Totem, or like we said, Batgirl Prime. She's so important. She would be useful in this team. Then you've got 1 gear slot left for Lexor Gauntlets to increase crit chance of special 1 and increase the chance of stun. Then you land, you do a special 1 on a stunned opponent, you do splash damage, and you could devastate the other team, so they'd be tagging with 1 health.
Yeah.
And I guess the difficulty before, with Luchador Bane, before you had Necron Scythe, Cloak of Destiny was the only stun boosted damage that you could get. So it was a really hard decision about who would get Cloak of Destiny on that team. I mean, if you're sticking both on the same team, because Batgirl, like I said, Batgirl is great as a teammate for Luchador Bane. The biggest problem with this team is that if he doesn't stun, you're sort of vulnerable. And here's the thing, this is the other character that's missing, Hawkgirl Prime. If you have Hawkgirl Prime on this team with Batgirl and Luchador Bane, he tags in on the rare occasion when he doesn't stun, you know what you do? Just tag him right back out right after he does a special 1.
Yeah. And
then you can reload for doing another special 1 when he tags back in.
Yeah, you give it another shot.
Yeah. So he's not vulnerable at all. And Hawkgirl Prime is another one of the characters that's out of the
rotation. Yeah. So you can't get her.
Yeah. And I guess the other weakness with Luchador Bane is any team that doesn't anybody that doesn't stun, right? So you could talk about Batman Beyond, who nobody plays, but really the main danger is Red Sun Green Lantern on a Red Sun team where they're all immune to stun.
Yeah.
And Astro Harness is no longer the same kind of problem. When you've got Tantu Totem, you will still have your power, but it also doesn't stun. You just have to tag out and just maybe don't tag him in until the first invulnerability is over.
Yeah.
I guess the other weakness, Revive.
That's true.
Right? You knock them out, none of it spills over into the Revive, so they come back with whatever health they're supposed to, but they're still up and you've lost your power.
Yeah. But the advantage of that is that you get to use 2 special 1s on somebody, and then by that time everybody else is pretty... If they weren't dead before, they're extra low after.
And a funny bit of trivia is that even before Cloak of Destiny existed, so before he was actually really great, we have 3 multiplayer videos using him on a team.
Yeah.
So he was okay, but what really changed it was Cloak of Destiny. Yeah.
So there we go. This week's multiplayer reward is Time Capsule, which becomes Quake Engine. And when fully upgraded, that gives you a 40% chance to power steal 100% of a special 2's cost. Specials and damage over times do 50% damage, 50% increased damage against an enemy with less than 1 power bar. And the Joker's ability, which is increased enemy tag cooldown by 8 seconds, and the evolved ability, which is after an applied damage over time finishes, a 100% chance to re-trigger the damage over time on active enemy. This is last available on the 17th of June 2021. It's been 54 weeks in a row of this cycle.
Maybe 55?
The reward's 55?
Maybe 55,
yeah, wait,
I'm thinking.
Maybe.
Yeah, 55.
Yeah, so there's a 31-week cycle. We've gone through it all, once without interruption, and we're 2/3 of the way, a little over 2/3 of the way through our second run through.
Yeah, if pattern holds, next week should be King Gold Soda. So interesting. So this is, again, when you see one of the abilities, right, the tag cooldown by 8 seconds, the exact opposite of Hawkgirl Prime. Right?
Yeah.
Like Hawkgirl Prime would be one person that could help you with this. You wouldn't be as good if you didn't face Quake Engine, but this, you really feel, if you rely on a team that tags in a lot, you really feel the pain against Quake Engine. So this is a great piece of equipment for the specialist who specializes in damage over time. So I like to say this is specialist cubed. So let's go through the abilities, right? 40% chance to power steal on special 2 is okay. I don't know that we ever use it enough on a special 2 specialist to make a difference, because power steal means that the opponent has to have power before it's actually useful. So not only do you have to be using special 2, they have to have power, and you only get a 40% chance to steal it. Extra damage on specials and boosted damage over time, excellent. We use it on our Flashpoint team. We use it on our Justice League team. Aquaman is perfect for this. He's got a built-in bleed on a special 1. if you set them up to start right away, not only does it hit harder, but then the opponent just bleeds right out.
Yeah.
And retriggering damage over time on an active enemy when the first one runs out basically doubles the damage over time. So it means, now that we've got Phantom Zone this week, it's very easy to satisfy the Phantom Zone requirements because it doubles not only the damage over time triggered, but it doubles the damage over time that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good because it can go from one person to another person now.
Yeah.
With the retrigger.
Yeah. And what's interesting about the ability for Joker for extending the cooldown time so that the opponent can't tag out, in a lot of ways it works similarly to Arkham Knight Catwoman's ability, because if they can't tag out, they can't rinse the damage over time.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it more powerful. I mean, most of the time, if you're facing a team that doesn't care, like AI, who cares if they tag out, right? Like most of the time, they don't do it very much or strategically.
Yeah.
But what it really means is that you will get closer to full value for your damage over time.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, in the store, we have the character bundle Arkham Allies for $24.99 Canadian. It was the exact same price the last time it was around in March of 2021. That comes with Arkham Knight Catwoman and Arkham Knight Batman. You know, these are never a great deal. Yeah,
the only thing that comes close to it, though, is the Arkham Knight Batman, because he's so hard to get. And I think if we can swing it, I would like to, even though if it's Phantom Zone, I'd like to maybe do a few demo teams with Arkham Knight Batman, because you really can make him invulnerable. It was based on a comment I saw. So I just did set up the invulnerable, and it's kind of fun. It's a little kind of slow fight, but... Oh, I guess the other thing is you get the Dawn of Justice gear. So it's the hooded, the cowl, instead of all the other possible Batman gears you could get.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we also have the Blackest Night. I almost said Blockest Night.
Yeah.
Hot Girl in store for $24.99 Canadian. Doesn't come with any credits. It's just the character.
That's really expensive.
Gear and support cards. Yeah, so it's the price of a pack that normally comes with 100,000 credits. Doesn't come with 100,000 credits. And now it costs, it's more expensive. And you're about to see her next week. And the other thing is, now with knowing that it's this loop.
Yeah, it fits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you also know that she's going to be back around. If they were going to do anything, and this would be a terrible move because it would be acknowledging that they did it on purpose and trying to profit from it. Yeah. But if anything would be valuable now, it would be one of the characters that you can't get anymore from the challenge.
That's true.
In a cash pack. And I don't think they could justify selling it, but that would be the only thing that would be maybe even a little bit worth it now.
Yeah.
We also have the Sorcery Pack for a second week.
Yep.
Survivor Pack for a second week. That's the Power Credits one. Character Bundle Batman Universe has been around for a while now, 7 weeks.
So I should point out, when you say second week like that, we're not getting into details because we did it last week.
Yeah. And we also have the Most Wanted Pack, which has been hanging around for a long time now. Aquaman Celebration Pack is also in for its second week, but unlike all the other ones, we know exactly when it's leaving. With a pretty high degree of certainty, it'll be gone next week, and we'll be seeing the Shazam Celebration Pack. Yeah.
I think we've got another week left in our Survivor for League of Assassins, which is going to swap on the 26th of January. And Phantom Zone is back for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we...
Fight 62 still broken.
Mm-hmm. And last weekend's breakthrough was Deadshot, Wonder Woman, and Static, so we expected this weekend's to be Zatanna, Flash, and Solomon Grundy. You can check the link in the description for a thread from user Devlin16 for a complete breakthrough cycle if you want.
Yeah.
And I think we can actually, because we talked for a while about other stuff, maybe leave the commentary on glitches. Nothing's changed since last week, so you can, click to the back half or back third of last week if you're really hankering for that information.
And I think the most important thing to point out, though, is because Phantom Zone is back, we didn't focus on it last week, but we should just emphasize this. Phantom Zone reset and the challenge reset are both the same glitch, so you do not want to inadvertently reset your progress without doing it mindfully. So just be aware that you're going to reset the progress on both when you do the reset for either.
Yeah, and there we go. So that's it for this week. To finish up, we'd like to give a huge thank you to all the lovely folks who support us on Patreon. That's Victor Gomez, Consul Peasant, and Edwoon at the top tier Last Word, Sinemac and Mohammed Albshaiti at the Your Message Here tier, Shawn, Farrell, Daniel Simonson, Aaron Maule, Michael DeVries, Brandon C., Irvin Ruiz, and Eddydoo at the credited level, and Chris Wolff, Scarlet, Dani, Awesomegamer241, Pavu RS, Gavin, Mallott, and Isfar E, the gratitude level. Thanks so much for your support, and we'll see you next time.
Komoda.